Hello Chipmunk and Chipette fans, my name is Grandy Tamias, and welcome back to another installment of Alvinnn and the Chipmunks Elaborations. And for today's topic, we have some huge information that has been floating around for the last few weeks, and it's in relation to the CGI series, its cancellation, and what has been going on with the companies involved. Particularly the big names to us, Bagdasarian Productions and PGS Entertainment. I think there's no other way to lead into it other than just saying what you already read in the video's title, but Bagdasarian is in an ongoing legal battle with PGS over issues related to the distribution of the CGI series to broadcasters, as well as the rejection of high-value deals that would have helped the series probably in a lot of different ways, as will be discussed later in the video. In fact, what we know so far about this case is pretty well documented and detailed, and because I didn't really know how best to cover it in my usual method of doing elaborations, I decided to do something different. Friend of the channel and admin of Chipmunk Mania, Gleeful Chibi, reached out to me as soon as talk about this started to spread in the fandom, and wanted to collaborate with me to share the information of one of these documents. It goes into detail about the arbitrations that Bagdasarian Productions and PGS have filed against each other, and let me tell you, it gets real juicy as it goes on. So most of this video will be our unscripted chatter analyzing the information that we have and explaining how it ties into other aspects, some of which builds upon things that I've talked about in previous elaborations. Oh, and Chibi was also generous enough to create the artwork that I used for this video's thumbnail. I'll give a recap towards the end, but I highly recommend that you all watch or just listen through the next portion of this video because there is a lot of nuance that is vital to understanding how things led up to where they are now, and why there were so many problems during the show's main lifespan. So, without further ado, here's what Chibi and I had to say about the arbitrations document.
Okay, recording now. So, looking over the document here, starting with the introduction, in a consolidated pair of arbitrations between BP and its sales agent, PGS Entertainment, over a contract governing the international distribution of content from the Alvinnn and the Chipmunks franchise. I don't think we need to cover the entire introduction, so I think we can just skip to where, the first part about, on my first bullet point. In 2012, after having produced 3 blockbuster motion pictures featuring Alvinnn and the Chipmunks, BP conceived of and co-produced a new Chipmunks television series entitled Alvinnn and the Chipmunks, the series. I guess they are just going to refer to it as a series so they don't have to yell Alvinnn throughout the entire document.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I hate having to do that.
Yeah, same in my videos. So in 2019, the parties contracted for PGS to sell the series' forthcoming 6 and 7 seasons, the agreement, but the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted BP's efforts to develop the new seasons. So, we already knew, 6 and 7 seasons were confirmed. This, I guess, reaffirms that. And, honestly, I was skeptical, that they were even going to make it to 6 seasons. I think that, even at the time, that was, jumping the gun. And I guess, by happenstance, those seasons never ended up happening anyway.
Yeah, still salty about it, to be honest with you. I didn't think the show would make it past season 2, to be totally honest, because Nickelodeon. Just the way they are. Just Nickelodeon. I am shocked that it lived as long as it did, and I'm happy that it lived as long as it did, but at the same time, I'm still salty. I'm like, we could have had it all, and then COVID happened.
Yeah. Yeah, plus even with how season 5 ended, it looked like they were going to go somewhere with the tour stuff, but I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, but at the same time, it also really does work as a finale episode. It leaves a few things, like Gizmo just ceases to exist. He just doesn't exist anymore. Gizmo and Zila don't exist anymore.
I never thought of that. Did he take, did Silent Jet take their robots with them?
Did they just shut them off? Just lock them in the closet, have them interact with each other? Yeah, we can't leave Gizmo unattended. You have to shut him off before you go on tour.
Okay. Yeah, so let's, moving on. So, in response to the changes from the COVID-19 disruptions, BP informed PGS in April of 2021 that it had decided to suspend production for the 6 and 7 seasons, but ultimately resumed production following the parties' failed attempt at mediation in June 2021. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by mediation, but from those 2 months, a lot could have happened, or I guess not happened, could have really thrown off their entire production timeline.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm thinking, that somebody failed to like communicate something, whether it was on PGS or Bagdasarians, and somebody failed to say something, and it threw a wrench in their whole ordeal. I guess that's what
yeah.
I'm guessing this means.
Yeah, it kind of brings me back to how in a previous video I was emphasizing like the production timeline. It's always about the production timeline, or at least it feels like it. BP provided PGS with a revised delivery schedule in August 2021 and asked PGS to send those dates to broadcasters so that broadcasters were not expecting episodes based on the original schedule. BP was not aware that PGS never communicated those initial changes or a subsequent set of schedule changes to broadcasters. So yeah, that's a first big red flag.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's like exactly what PGS is there for, and that yet they didn't do it, and now everybody's getting in trouble for it, essentially, from what I can see here.
Yeah, like the ball was in PGS's court and they dropped it.
Oh yeah, they dropped it hard. They dropped it, and then they failed to pick it up and kicked it across the court while they were trying to pick it up.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. BP suspended production of the series indefinitely in 2022 after its India-based co-producer and animator Technicolor Animations recommended doing so due to disruptions on its end. And this, I did an earlier video this year talking about like the rumors that like PGS wanted to like revive the series for like 10 full seasons total, but yeah, obviously that was just ludicrous.
That was a mess up on their end. They misworded that announcement, and so everybody thought they meant that they were going to renew it for 5 more seasons. What they actually meant by that, they were renewing the already existing contract for broadcasters to like air the already existing seasons, because after a while those rights will expire and they won't be able to like air the show anymore. So the broadcasters were like, okay, we want to keep airing the show. We'll renew the 5 seasons so we can keep airing the show. That's what that meant.
Yeah, and of course, while this document doesn't mention it, I assume that the disruptions on Technicolor's end was their merger with Micros.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's weird because throughout the production of this show, Technicolor has had like 3 different names. They have gone through mergers, they have gone through company changes, and yet the show was fine. Because when it started out, they were called like
Weedo? Yeah. They were also the same company that animated the Sonic Boom series.
Yeah. And I think before that they were like Genio or something that like begins with a G and is French, and I can't pronounce it. I'm not French, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wish I could speak French. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's probably the Micros like merger thing that happened, which sucks because they survived all these other mergers, but this one I guess was what did them in.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of how like when Disney bought Fox, there were a lot of plans, from Fox that just kind of got shuffled around, so things ended up getting delayed, if like not canceled indefinitely.
Yeah. And now people still think that like Disney is going to be in the charge of like the next Chipmunks reboot. No, they're not. They don't own the Chipmunks franchise. They just own the Fox movies because they own Fox. So like they can broadcast the Fox movies on Disney Plus and on their channel, but that's all they can do with the franchise unless they make a deal with like Bagdasarian directly. They're not doing anything with this franchise.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Well, yeah, Disney and Bagdasarian agreeing, that's not necessarily unprecedented, especially considering something else later in this list, in this document, I should say. But yeah, BP.
And not only that, but go ahead, keep going.
Where was I? Okay. Yeah, PGS instead filed a notice of arbitration May 27th, 2022. The first arbitration, per the parties' arbitration agreement, the proceedings were conducted by the ICDR in Los Angeles, California, under the Independent Film and Television Alliance's International Arbitration Rules. The ICDR assigned PGS's arbitration to arbiter Michael C. Donaldson. Yeah, again, I don't know too much about arbitration, but yeah, this is just an individual person, not like a court and jury.
Yeah.
Led the agreement by failing to perform its obligations in good faith. It claimed in relevant part that BP had unreasonably rejected 4 offers PGS obtained in 2021 for distribution rights of seasons 6 and 7 in various markets. So, not necessarily sure. These are just 4 offers in 2021, so who knows how many offers they had, like in 2020, like during the main COVID disruption.
See, this is where I think Bagdasarian dropped the ball, because they wanted to do season 6 and 7, but they seem to be rejecting.
Yeah, or they're indecisive.
Yeah, it's like, I get it. They're old. Maybe they don't want to keep doing this forever. I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, can we stay in a lane? Can we pick something?
So then the arbiter began 14 days of hearings on September 21st, 2022. On November 3rd, 2022, after 8 days of hearings had been completed. So I guess it was between September and November is when, all those hearings began during the first arbitration. And this is where we get to, the threats from RTL. PGS revealed to BP that it had received threats from RTL, a European media conglomerate related to failures to deliver season 6. Those threats expressed in RTL's October 14, 2024, 2022, sorry, letter to PGS, which PGS did not disclose to Bagdasarian for almost 3 weeks. That's the second ball dropped. You waited 3 weeks to tell, your collaborator that you had gotten threats.
And, the whole RTL thing, it's like, I didn't realize they were as big as they are.
Yeah, in
fact,
I have their Wikipedia page pulled up here. They're a Luxembourg-based international media conglomerate, and they operate 56 television channels in 36 radio stations in Germany, France, and other European countries. So they're kind of a big deal, in addition to the fact that they own M6, the first channel to air the CGI series in France.
They also own Super RTL. They own the Togo channel that broadcasted the show in Germany. So that's how I know them, because I was following the German releases to see when it would come out and whatnot. So I didn't realize that they had so many things going on with them. I didn't know they owned M6, and I think that's pretty interesting. And at the same time, it's like, PGS, what did you do to make them so angry?
Yeah, I'm guessing RTL is kind of like a European Comcast, where Comcast owns Universal and what channels does Comcast own? I think they own NBC.
Yeah, and it could be similar to Viacom as well, where Viacom owns a bunch of stuff, including Nickelodeon. So I'm assuming that's similar to what they are, but at the same time, I also know nothing. So
yeah, I mean, we're just taking educated guesses here, but they're pretty good educated guesses.
Yeah, judging from what we've been reading here, it seems to be.
3 weeks later, RTL had been expecting initial season 6 episodes on August 1st, 2022. So they waited until, so RTL waited between August 1st and October 14th until they finally decided, we're going to file threats. I'm not sure what they ended up doing, to satisfy, TV broadcaster demands during that time. But, well, regardless, PGS did not, relay to them the revised schedule.
Yeah. All I know is that they did get the end of season 5 on Togo and M6 and all that. They did get the end of season 5. They finished the already existing episodes. So my guess is that whatever they got in trouble with, it has to do with season 6 and not season 5.
So this correspondence came as a shock to BP after BP asked why RTL would expect episodes based on the old schedule. Again, PGS waited 3 weeks to respond, confirmed that it never communicated any of the schedule changes to broadcasters, and this is the key thing, it never had any intention of doing so. Why, PGS? What purpose?
Why would you not tell them? It's maybe they just assumed that, COVID, everybody knows about COVID. Maybe they just know. They're no, you still have to tell them. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in not telling them, so I can only assume, especially from the way this document words it, PGS was just in a really crummy mood that day and decided, no, we're going to be antagonistic to BP for no other reason.
We're going to cause problems on purpose. They woke up and chose violence, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think we moved on to the next arbitration, based on the newly discovered information. This one was filed on December 16th, 2022. BP asserted 2 claims against PGS for the breach of the agreement. One, PGS's failure to provide the revised delivery schedule to broadcasters and its concealment of this failure from BP, and to PGS wrongfully disclosing confidential information to broadcasters. Yeah, the confidential information is probably referring to the fact that the first arbitration even happened. The arbitrations were consolidated, and arbitrator. During the discovery, BP learned that PGS had also violated the agreement by improperly concealing millions of dollars in proposed deals for the series, despite PGS's obligation to promptly present all potential deals to BP. The value of the concealed deals was more than $7 million. So, yeah, as much as BP was constantly turning down deals, that was being filtered, by PGS.
Yeah, it's like I said, they are both in the wrong here.
Yeah, then the lack of all these deals was really holding back a lot of potential for the series. Like, we could have seen a lot more merchandising and even more broadcasts in regions around the world.
And that's what I mentioned with PGS before, because I was on their side until this document came out, because of the fact that the show was crazy popular in Europe. They had a ton of merchandise in Italy, and Germany had some as well, but they haven't had any in a while. I think they stopped doing it in like 2018, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Europe is like the show's largest market, in part because of RTL, which obviously makes sense. Again, why they were the first ones to make the threats and complaints about not getting season 6. Okay, so BP then filed the amended notice of arbitration on February 2nd, 2024, adding a third claim of bad faith for failing to disclose the potential deals. PGS asserted its own counterclaim, alleging that BP had disclosed PGS's confidential information to business partners and direct competitors. So this kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah, it's again like a he said, she said thing. I'm not sure where the business partners and direct competitors come from, and like what the disclosed confidential information is referring to.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. I don't know who could be competing with them. I don't know competitors. Did they pick fights with more people?
PGS had a monopoly on the series, so yeah, it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and PGS has distributed other shows like Miraculous, and that did fine. So I don't know why they're having a problem now. Although Miraculous's broadcast schedule has also been absolutely atrocious. Yeah, that was another thing. The broadcast schedule for the show was god-awful. God-awful. Think about it. We would be getting episodes, and then 9 months later, they would release more episodes.
Yeah.
People had kids, babies within the time it took, the third episode of season 5 to come out. So I wonder if part of that has to do with the fact that PGS kept messing up. But a lot of it was also Nickelodeon, because the episodes would air in the UK, France, whatever, and then we would get it in the US here several months later, and it's why? Why wait?
Yeah, and sometimes it's sporadic. There were sometimes some season 3 and 4 episodes that did appear in the US before in the UK. So yeah, it was just all over the place. And this is kind of what I was talking about, with the mess of the production timeline, and how even if a region gets an episode after the 9 months since Bagdasarian started making it, they'll still leave it on the shelf for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Again, some of that might have to do with the need to dub the episodes, but even still, it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, because it was always something that I thought about. I always assumed it was production issues, but it seems like something else was causing those delays.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that it would always be the UK would usually get it first, and then it would come out in France, or sometimes vice versa, France then the UK. But it was always, and it took months for the show to even come out in the States. We got it in August, I think. Was it?
Yeah.
It was August, the beginning of August. Whereas it started coming out in France, in France in March, the end of March.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into the series. I just saw a commercial for it on Nickelodeon. Around the start of August, just days before it actually started airing.
Yeah, Nickelodeon announced it, I think, at like the very end of July because it came out on like August 3rd.
Yeah.
So it was like the week before. And I'm like, y'all waited this long? You could have been advertising this. What are you doing? So as much as I want to throw shade at PGS and Bagdasarian in this case, I do think Nickelodeon had a lot to do with the show and the fact that its schedule was just terrible.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's at fault here in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So moving on to the arbitrator issued his first award, the initial award, on November 21st, 2024. The initial award addressed claims from both the first and second arbitrations. On the first arbitration, the arbiter sided with PGS on 2 of the claims and with BP on the other. In relevant part, he found that BP had rejected 3 contracts with Disney, Discovery, and Tele-Quebec. We'll get to the fourth one in a moment. But yeah, Disney, is not too surprising to see here, considering that they air the series in Spain and Japan.
Yes, it was, which is weird. That's weird. I don't know how that happened because it airs on Nickelodeon everywhere else, and it aired on Nickelodeon in Spain for quite a long time. So something happened where Viacom in Spain, Nickelodeon in Spain was like, nah. So Disney got it.
And
A similar thing happened with Miraculous, where it was on Nickelodeon and then it went on to Disney. So that must also be a PGS related thing, where like they have some ties where they're able to get Disney on board. That's got to be, because that seems too much of a coincidence for me.
Yeah, and Discovery is also mentioned here too, and like coincidentally, it's been in the news that they and Warner Brothers are making up. So I wonder, Discovery and Warner Brothers joined around like the early 2020s. I wonder how like the rights regarding the series and these deals like coincided like with that.
I actually know the answer to that. So Discovery in Italy, they own the channel K2, which broadcasts Alvinnn and the Chipmunks in Italy.
Yeah.
They're like the free TV channel for it.
Yeah.
So that's why Discovery is involved. It's not American Discovery, it's like the Italian branch of Discovery.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes
that's
sense.
what it is.
And,
that's what it is.
Yeah. And Tele-Quebec, do you know anything about them?
Tele-Quebec is a French broadcaster in Canada. They broadcast things in French there for French-speaking audiences. They air the French dub of the show that airs on M6, but instead of leaving the songs in English, they dub over them. So any like French dub songs that I have on my channel, it comes from them.
Oh,
which I always thought was weird.
Yeah.
So they're a Canadian channel. They're in Quebec in Canada.
Yeah, and that again makes sense with why the last couple of episodes, including the tour, were aired in both France and Canada before the U.S.
Yeah. On the English-speaking side of Canada, it was, what was the name of that? Wild Brain TV, I think, was the channel that had it, which was originally called Family Channel, but I guess Wild Brain bought the rights to the channel. So that was when they got it first for those last few episodes. It was Wild Brain TV.
He also held that BP unreasonably rebuffed Nickelodeon's 2021 expression of interest in the series by declining to make certain creative changes to the series at Nickelodeon's request. So I missed this on my first pass of the document, but after reading it again, certain creative changes. So this could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, and I know they're very protective over the characters, so I'm wondering what it was that Nickelodeon wanted to do. Because I hate to say it, but the show got stale, and it needed to change. Otherwise, it would not have made it through 7 seasons where fans would actually still want to watch it. Yeah. And that's how I feel about it. That's how I felt about it for the past few years. So, when it didn't make it to 7 seasons, I'm not surprised. But at the same time, I'm still bitter about it.
Yeah, I agree. The series needed to change in that regard, but also it's Nickelodeon. Who knows, what they would have requested, and they're only one broadcaster out of the entire world. So who knows if the rest of the broadcasters in the world would have been willing to go along with those changes.
Yeah, that's why I think everybody was so excited about the whole tour thing, because of the fact that it's yes, this is different. Finally, we're getting something different. So I don't know how well the fans would have perceived whatever Nickelodeon decided to do, but it seems like Bagdasarian just wasn't having it. They was not having it.
Yeah, so this is the fourth deal that was rejected, and the arbiter awarded damage to PGS based on BP's rejection of the 3 contracts and the 1 potential deal, Nickelodeon's inchoate expression of interest. For the 3 complete offers, he awarded PGS the amount it would have received under the agreement. His calculation of damages arising from the potential Nickelodeon deal was different, and yeah, this is going to end up being pretty big later. So his calculation of damages was based on the average of the previous 3 deals, just for that 1 Nickelodeon deal regarding the creative changes. But of course, yeah, there was no contract to base it on, so that's why I went with that and awarded $138,713.81. So total damage was over $500,000. So yeah, remember this because it's going to be, well, it's going to inflate real fast.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So on BP's claims to PGS's counterclaim for the second arbitration, the arbiter ruled that PGS had acted in bad faith by failing to provide the revised schedule to broadcasters. We already knew that, but awarded BP no damages. He rejected BP's claim based on PGS's disclosure of the arbitral proceedings to broadcasters, and he found that PGS was not entitled to recover any damages for its counterclaim. The arbiter failed to resolve PGS's liability for concealing a number of high-value deals, despite announcing express factual findings that PGS concealed at least 12 deals. So, yeah, if those 4 deals at least started out being worth over $500,000, who knows how much those 12 deals would have added to it?
Yeah, that's nuts. 12. That's a lot.
Finally,
I didn't know that was that many. I missed that the first time. I did not know that was that many.
Yeah, and it doesn't specify like what broadcasters or like even from what regions they would have been from. But yeah, that is crazy. So finally, the arbiter concluded that PGS was not entitled to recover attorney's fees and costs for the claims brought on by the first arbitration. So yeah, like this is a sign that the case was starting to become like a money black hole. And like the act of suing them was costing, I guess, everyone more than what they were eventually going to get out of it.
As far as the deals are concerned, so it could also have been merchandise too, because we do focus a lot on broadcasters, but it could also have been merchandise, because you got to think during like 2016 there was all this stuff announced and none of it came out. Like none of it came out at all. There was all this merch that was announced to come out and nothing happened, and PGS was the one to announce it. Like that whole adult clothing line, the Chipmunks chic stuff, you remember that?
Yeah, and some of those like the second wave of Fisher Price toys, including the Eleanor and Jeanette dolls. Like, yeah, I still haven't forgiven them for that.
Yeah, it's still salty. But yeah, I just remembered that because we're mentioning all these deals, because 12, that's a lot. And I'm thinking that some of them might be related to like merchandise, because that's a lot.
Yeah, I believe that.
I can't imagine they got beef with 12 different broadcasters.
Yeah. BP and PGS each filed requests for clarification of the award under, that Article 37.1, which provides that the parties may request the arbiter to interpret the award or correct any clerical, typographical, or computational errors in the arbitral award. And this is going to be, this is where we get to plot twist, really. So, okay, so here's where things get juicy. The arbiter issued an amended decision, the amended award, on January 24th, 2025, this year. In the amended award, the arbitrator claimed to have overlooked a 2020 offer from Nickelodeon that both parties had rejected and decided to use this separate, distinct offer as the basis for damages. However, the arbiter had expressly addressed that earlier offer in the initial award, but he nonetheless asserted that his initial decision to not use it to calculate damages could have been viewed as a computational error. This change increased the damages awarded for rejection of the 2021 Nickelodeon proposal from over $100,000 to over $1.7 million.
That's insane.
Like, how do you recalculate to that much? I mean, that's a huge gap.
How do you mess up that badly the first time? Holy crap.
And to think, like, if BP and PGS had just, like, not asked for clarification, like, this would have been, they would have gotten out with a lot less.
Exactly.
Yeah. In addressing...
They shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, totally. The arbiter also rejected BP's request for correction or clarification of the award attorney fees to PGS outside of the Article 37 scope. Here, it's not too much to go off of. Yeah, it's just count one to vacate the arbitration award. And really, we're for the most part at the end of the document, I guess in layman's terms, considering the entire mess of what happened, BP should be awarded what they think they earned, as a court deems proper. Again, not sure if that is going to be specifically from an arbitrator or if a jury is going to be involved.
We'll have to see how this goes, because the rest of this seems to be pretty recent. They said 2025 at some point, I saw. So maybe this is probably still going on, I would assume.
Yeah, because the date on this is April 11th, 2025. So this was 2 months ago, and a lot could have happened in those 2 months. Yeah,
I'll definitely keep an eye out for more stuff related to this. Maybe we can do a follow-up later on if more stuff comes out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, because place your bets, people. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Fight, fight, fight.
I don't know, because PGS is a pretty big company when you think about it. It even says in this document, Bagdasarian Productions, it's consisting of 3 parties, and 2 of those are Ross and Janice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the 3 parties. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. But, yeah, 3 parties, because Bagdasarian Productions is a limited liability corporation, so the company is treated as its own separate entity, meaning, if you wanted to sue them, you can't sue the people, Ross and Janice. You have to sue Bagdasarian Productions.
Yeah, but Ross and Janice, and I think the other party was listed as Carmen Ross Productions. I'm assuming that's their marketing, legal people.
Yeah.
And Ross and Janice don't directly handle.
Yeah, I think they might have had the Carmen Ross production since the 80s.
Yes, that's been around since the 80s. The Chipettes, at least during that time period, I don't know if they still are, were copyrighted under Carmen Ross Productions, and the Chipmunks were copyrighted under Bagdasarian Productions. So that's probably why Carmen Ross exists, so that the Chipettes can have their own, because they can't really put the Bagdasarian name on the Chipettes because Janice created the Chipettes. So that's my guess on why they exist. But they probably handle the legal stuff, the marketing stuff, the merch stuff, all the deals that failed to go through. They probably had something to do with that.
Yeah, the Bagdasarian label. Yeah, they obviously handled the original 3 characters and I guess the Ross Senior era music.
And also Dave, obviously Dave.
Yeah.
And all of this legal stuff that we've been seeing, there's clearly more going on behind the scenes of this than we originally thought. So it really does put it all into perspective as this was a mess, and it was a mess for a reason. It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, and even with it, and I feel we're not going to see much of the effect of this as a collective fandom. The only thing that I worry about with this is what might happen if PGS loses the rights to distribute the show, because PGS is the reason why it's on Netflix and stuff like that in other countries. And I think Bagdasarian made the deal for Paramount Plus. I could be wrong. It could have been PGS as well. I'm honestly not sure. But I have a feeling that if they do lose the rights, I have a feeling once those contracts expire, that's going to be it. We are never going to see the show on any kind of streaming or anything like that ever again. Because look what happened with the 80s cartoon. Look what happened with the Alvinnn show.
Even if it's for different reasons now.
Yeah, with the 80s cartoon, it was more of a copyright problem because they definitely intended to release it. Janice has mentioned quite a few times that she wanted to release it. But the Alvinnn show, there is no excuse for that. So I don't know. It's hard to tell whose side I want to be on in this situation because I don't want more lost media.
So I think there are a few big takeaways from this document that Alvinnn and the Chipmunks fans should know. 1, season 6 and 7 were real, or were going to be real, but were cancelled voluntarily by Bagdasarian Productions to avoid any hassle with the change in management at Technicolor due to their merger with Micros. Something that I had suspected in my elaboration about why the series would not be coming back with new seasons. 2, the entire reason for this lawsuit was more so about cleaning up the mess due to PGS having never informed broadcasters about the schedule changes while the show was still airing. 3. As much as PGS is to blame for this debacle, Bagdasarian isn't without fault either, as their pickiness with deals most likely harmed the series in the long run, not just PGS as their business partner. And 4. While we'll probably never know what creative changes Nickelodeon wanted, the fact that they did, and the Arbiter valued it so high, really has me curious what it actually was. I know Chibi and I talked about how the show did grow stale in the 5 seasons that it had, barring the series finale, but I suspect that Nickelodeon's change would have felt very corporate if they thought that it would have increased ratings, even if it wouldn't have been in the best interest of Bagdasarian Productions and didn't stick true to what the franchise was founded upon. But like we said, this is still ongoing, and if any major developments pop up about how this lawsuit will end, Gleeful Chibi and I will be sure to do another one of these to keep you all informed. If you want to check out the document for yourself, I'll leave a link to the website where we got it from in the description below. I'd certainly love to read what you guys have to say in the comments. Do you think Bagdasarian or PGS will come out on top? And does this provide you with closure on the ultimate fate of the CGI series? Again, huge thanks to Gleeful Chibi for joining me in this video. I'll leave a link to her channel as well as Chipmunk Mania in the description as well. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed, have a nice day, and thank you for your time.